It's a balmy 6 degrees today, and it's time to do some intervals. Let's get it. Lap 1, 1 minute rest, there we go again. Lap 2. So most of my runs have been happening in the early hours of the morning. I'm not a morning person, really. I prefer to stay up late and work late into the night rather than being up early. However, races happen early in the morning, and the longer the race, the earlier it usually starts. So the idea for me is to start getting up early in the morning to condition my body to be ready to go. And that way I should be feeling better at the start of a race. Next lap. So that was the main reason that I started early morning training, but then COVID came, and with that, lockdowns, which meant that the whole family now stays home. So homeschooling, my significant other needs to work on her business to keep that alive. So that kind of makes it very hard to actually go out for a run during the day. Anytime that I would plan for it, something would always come up and it would never happen. So that's kind of the second reason. Intervals finished. All right. So then the third reason now is again because of the lockdowns. Because of that, all families are at home, not going to work, not going to school, and exercise is one of the 4 reasons, I think it's 4, that you're allowed to leave the house. So everybody is now out during the day, running, riding along this track. And this isn't a very wide track. So since it's packed, social distancing is very hard to maintain, which brings me back to early morning training before sunrise. That way you only pass a handful of people and you don't have to interact with anyone. So that's why I'm training during the mornings now. I'll make myself a morning person. So this brings me to motivation versus habit, where motivation is the spark. It gets you going, a new you, a new year, gonna run this much, gonna wake up early in the morning, gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna change myself, yeah. And that goes for a week or 2, and then there might be a slight drizzle outside. The conditions aren't perfect anymore, and they're like, I think I might stay inside today. And before you know it, it's been a month, and you haven't done anything you set out to do because none of the conditions were perfect. And that's when motivation works. When all conditions are perfect, you're ready to do anything. But habit is the thing that makes you go when none of the conditions are perfect. Might be pouring outside and you go, well, I gotta do what I gotta do. And you go out. So that's where I'm trying to get to. Making getting up in the morning a habit. Now I thought that I did get there. I thought that I started waking up a habit, but I feel like right now I'm doing it more out of necessity than it being a habit. Because if I don't get up now, I'm not gonna get the activity done during the day. And then I don't wanna fall into the trap of not doing it at all and running just off of motivation. So I kind of feel like I'm halfway there. I'm using necessity to get myself to the habit stage. I think that's the way my mind is working right now. Personally, rain is actually a bit of a motivator for me, but I think the example still stands. It's still valid. All right, so what's our mission today?
So we're doing a weighted pack test. Part of it is because for the Spartan Hurricane Heat Instructor qualification, they've now introduced global fitness standards. So this is just one part of it. We've got to complete a half marathon in under 4 hours, wearing 13.6 kilograms for a male. So I'm not wearing my hut-to-hut gear, and we're using it as an opportunity for Alex to test his hut-to-hut gear under load.
Yes.
So that's it. We're going to go out 10.75 kilometers, turn around and come back.
So this is what he's wearing. And this is what my pack looks like.
I have an axe. because I didn't have correct weights and things in my car, so I just used various tools and an axe now.
He was about to steal some of my carabiners just to weigh him down. I want to weigh my pack. Let's see how heavy. 5 kilograms.
Perfect. Ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go. Keep your knees test again.
What is this place?
This is the Lilydale Warburton Rail Trail. Very popular line for runners, riders, walkers, because it goes from Lilydale, pretty much here, all the way to Warburton, which is where we did our run up Donabuang. So I've done this several times.
I'll do that run eventually.
Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah.
I always do it at Christmas time for New Year's.
Stay tuned for Christmas.
Yeah.
So we are walking on X Trail line now.
Hence the name, Lilydale to Warburton Rail Trail.
That makes sense. The things you learn.
Exactly. But why doesn't the train go to Warburton anymore? Who knows?
Who knows? Nobody wants to go to Warburton.
Everybody wants to go to
It's
Warburton.
true.
Lovely.
Warburton people want to keep everybody out.
That's more like. Alex has a rock in his shoe.
3.5 k's in, there's already stones in this shoe.
It does not rock. Shoe correction time. Extreme close-up. Or you're not. That is speaking. I personally find.
Alright, so I kind of touched a little bit on the subject of habit versus motivation and how it kind of affects me. But Richard has a lot more to say about that subject. There's a whole talk about it. I think he wants to share some with us.
So, motivation. I talk to a lot of people about motivation, having worked in the fitness industry, working with kids when it comes to building healthy habits, obviously Spartan race as well. You know, you would think that motivation is the key to all of that, but it's actually not. So this is the first thing. Motivation should actually be your very last thing that you're concerned about, because motivation is the outcome. If you don't have motivation, then it's actually everything you've done up until that moment has stopped you being motivated or altered your motivation, whatever it might be. I talk about 4 different levels of motivation. So the first, you kind of have like anti-motivation or amotivation or non-motivation. Basically someone who is, they're not only not motivated, but they're actually in direct opposition towards things that either they once were interested in or that you're having a discussion about a person. I always use the example of running, but like you can be motivated towards anything, playing music, cooking, health and well-being, your work, your relationships. The point being, with amotivation, you will often hear people say things like, take running for example, you know, they'll say that running's bad for you, it's bad for your knees. They'll call people who do it health nuts. At the end of the day, it's really, ooh, tunnel. So their motivation is actually in opposition to the topic. The second level up is intellectual motivation. So this is where, for intellectual reasons and, you know, like pro, con, weighting, that is your motivation for doing things. My example here is always people looking after themselves, eating well, exercising because they have a condition, or they'll say things like, oh, well, my doctor said I have to do this or I'll have a heart attack, stuff like that. Or I do it because my partner tells me I have to do it and that's the only way to keep them happy. Whatever it might be, you know, it might be cleaning the dishes, whatever it is. That is intellectual motivation, where the only way to find your way to participating in the behavior is by reasoning your way there.
I reached our turnaround point. We are going back to the start.
Back. And we're well ahead of schedule. So we got 4 hours to do this whole thing. The first half was mostly uphill, except for a couple of little stints. And then the second half.
False uphill.
Yes, yeah. So it looks flat, it's not. So that means the rest, you know, vast majority of this will be downhill. And we got heaps of time, so. Next step up, this is where most people get to and then get stuck at, is extrinsic motivation. So your extrinsic motivation is where you are driven by things which are positive and beneficial, and they make you feel good and they make you happy, but they're still external to yourself. So things like friends, family, spending time with a friend because they make you feel better, or training with a friend because is enjoyable. They're still extrinsic reasons, and the reason why it's not the strongest form of motivation is because if that friend leaves, or for example, one is always stuff like I want to be fit enough to play with my kids or keep up with my kids. That is something that's going to end, and when it leaves, you will have been practicing thinking that way for the duration of that relationship. So extrinsic is not the strongest. At the top level, you have intrinsic motivation, which is where you participate in behaviors out of a sense of self-worth. So either betterment, self-improvement, or simply because you have a desire to reach your potential and feel that you are worthy of that. So that's obviously the hardest one, but it is also the most powerful one because it cannot be taken from you. Now, the reason why I say that motivation is kind of actually not that important is because motivation is your indicator, it is your outcome, it is not the process. You do not go out and participate in motivation, you participate in things which motivate you, and behaviors and ways of thinking. So it's more important for you to think of why you are doing things and then find intrinsic reasons to do it and practice that. If someone comes to me and says that I am not motivated, it's not because they're telling me that they don't enjoy it or that they do not find it valuable. What they're telling me is that something in their life and the way that they are thinking about that particular moment has caused them to no longer value it. Again, that's much more challenging to take away from someone if it comes from within. So focus on the process and the habits which build motivation rather than trying to just motivate yourself randomly. The end.
Look at the social media guru.
So we're doing the trail, but we're ahead of schedule. So we're at 14 kilometers at the 2 hour 10 minutes mark. So we've got heaps of time. Like the rest is downhill.
We're back, finished.
3, 2, 1, and stop. Click. Pack march completed, 21 kilometer or half marathon distance, 3 hours 19 minutes. So we had 4 hours to do it, so it's more than reasonable. Even if I had to carry him the whole way. Emotionally speaking, Spartan out.
Easy. I didn't have any troubles with it. I could do the test. I mean, sure.
You're not carrying the correct weight.
Sure, I had a slightly lighter pack, but minor details.
It's the spirit that counts.
See. Any last words before we go?
Stay motivated.
Share, like, subscribe if you enjoyed it and you want to see more. Comment below,
Yeah,
all that
subscribe,
stuff.
especially if you know me.
You're not going to do the thing? But mainly, thank you for watching. I should say thank you for watching if you did watch.
Yeah.
Why you must always ruin my shots? Can't take them anywhere. Quick tutorial.
Put rubbish in bin.
This is how it works. That's how it's done, That's done. Woo!
Or just take it home with you.